You have seen that? Not? No? If you don't see the knot, how you will cut it? First you have to see the knot. That is the Gordon's knot. That was Gordon's knot which Alexander was cutting. Isn't it? It was said that one who could cut that knot will become the conqueror of the world. One who could open that knot, and everybody was trying to open it. Nobody could open. So Alexander came, he took his sword and he cut it. So he conquered with the sword. So there is a knot in the heart because there are two types of ahankar as egos. One is our real ego, the ego of the soul, which is our true identity, and other is the ego of the body. And now they are tied together. So the real ego is tied to the material ego and tied in such a manner that it is only seeing that. Like if there is a knot and you are standing on this side of the knot, then you do not know what is on the other side. So on one side is the soul and the other side is the super soul, and in between is the knot. And therefore we have become knot. N-A-U-G-H-T. Zero. Because of this knot. So he says that this Sankhya philosophy, if you understand, then this Granthi, this knot, this will cut. Then you will become separate from your body. It's like you have coconut, and when the coconut is green, then inside there is water, and then there is this white stuff which is sticking to the sides, right? But when the coconut becomes ripe, then what happens? There is no water, and the coconut stuff becomes separated from the outside shell, and if you shake it, it makes sound. So right now we are like the green coconut. We are together, and when you realize this, then you will become separate. So when this knot will be broken down, then you will see yourself in the body separate from the body. So that is what he says, that this is called Hridaya Granthi Bhedanam. So all these things happen simultaneously. You get this knowledge, transcendental knowledge. When knowledge comes, it removes the ignorance about ourselves, and it gives discrimination. The child of knowledge is discrimination. You discriminate between matter and spirit, and from that you realize yourself, you realize the Supreme, and of course the knot is already cut. So this is what he says that I am going to explain. This is Lord Kapila is making sure. Like if you go to visit some place, then someone tells, let's go there, and this is what you will see there. So you are expecting, and you have become very eager because you want to see it, or you want to go to a restaurant and there you are going to eat rasmalai. So already your mouth is watering. If you know what rasmalai is. So like that he is trying to water our mouth, basically, so that you become attentive to hear what he has to say. Otherwise philosophy is sometimes boring. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti comments, he says, Nanu tattva lakshan jnanena kim bhavishyati. So someone may raise a question that he said, I'm going to give you the definition of all the tattvas. Someone says, but what will be the benefit of that? Why shall I waste my time? I can go on Google and surf. So why shall I listen to your lecture? So it says that you can go on Google, but you will not get tattva gyan there. You will not be able to cut the knot of your heart. So if you want to remove that, then you listen to my lecture. Tattva lakshan jnanadeva vivektatma jnanam bhavati. So only by this jnana you will get the discrimination. You will see the self separate from the body, and then your problems are solved, because all the problems are coming by mistaking body for the self. This is the basic problem in the material world, that this matter and spirit, they are together. It's actually very interesting, because really speaking, matter and spirit do not contact each other. Asango hi ayam purusha. In the Upanishad it is said that the purusha is asanga. It is detached from matter. So how can there be knot? Because to have a knot, the rope has to come in contact with both. And what is the rope to tie us to matter? Is that rope spiritual or material? If it is material, it cannot touch us, because spirit does not touch matter. And if it is spiritual, then it will not touch the matter to bind it. So this knot is nothing but ignorance. Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantava. That our consciousness is covered by ignorance, and therefore we are bewildered. So this knot is spoken in different ways. Not just to make us little bit understanding this point. Really speaking, there is no such thing as knot, because soul is not something very gross that you can bind it. It's very subtle. You cannot tie the air and the stable with a knot in the rope. The air is very subtle. What to speak of the soul, which is extremely sukshma or subtle. So it's basically ignorance. And it is ignorance of what? Ignorance of our self. We do not know who we are. That's why we are always trying to figure out. We identify with the body, and then we are trying to show off that I am this, I am that. Everywhere we are trying to establish ourselves, our identity, because we have forgotten our true identity. If we are situated in our true identity, then we will not be egoistic. And because we are not, so then we are always having this problem of trying to establish myself. Wherever I go, I want to establish myself. Everybody should recognize that I am somebody. Right? So nobody wants to be nobody. Everybody wants to be somebody. But when you will become nobody, then you will become somebody. And that we don't want. So he says that this is the benefit of knowing this. And then he continues in the next verse. He starts explaining now He says Anadiratma Purusho Nirgunaha Prakrite Paraha Pratyak Dhama Swayam Jyotir Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. So first he defines what is Atma. And this verse can be translated in both ways. It can be applied on the individual soul, it can also be applied on the super soul. So both ways it can be translated. Because the characteristics which are defined here, they apply to both. It says Anadi Atma, Purusha. First he defines what is Purusha. Because in Sankhya there are two important things to be understood, Purusha and Prakriti. Right? Yes? You know Sankhya. So these are the two things to be understood, Purusha and Prakriti. So first he defines what is Purusha. So he says Anadir Atma Purusha. Purusha is Atma, the self is the Purusha. And what is its characteristic? Number one characteristic he says is Anadi, that it has no beginning. We don't have any experience that we were born on a particular day. We don't have this. Although we celebrate birthdays, but we ourselves don't have this subjective feeling that I was born on this particular day. Isn't it? Because we were never born. These birthdays we celebrate only so that you can get some gift and eat some cake. Otherwise, he says we are anadi, we are birthless. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhutavim. So these birthday celebrations are actually fake.
Game of Maya. Game of Maya.
Yes. Because we are not born. So that is the first thing, you know that you don't have a birthday. Sorry to say.
No cake, no gift.
You can take it or you can leave it, but you don't have birthday. So Anadi Atma Purusha Nirguna. Then someone can say, well, Prakriti is also Anadi. Material nature is also Anadi, beginningless. Anadi means beginningless, birthless, beginningless, causeless. So Prakriti, the material nature, is also beginningless. It has always existed. It undergoes changes, but it has not that particular moment became. So someone can mistake then that Prakriti is Purusha, because Anadi is applicable to both. Somebody says that a cow is that which has two horns. Then you see a buffalo and you think this is cow because buffalo also has two horns. So you have to give some distinctive feature which will not be applying to other when you define something. So he gives another characteristic. He says Nirguna, that Atma, this Purusha, is free from the gunas. So now you cannot say that Purusha is Prakriti, because Prakriti has gunas. Prakriti is made of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. But Purusha is free from the three gunas. So then someone can say that What about time? Time has no beginning and time is nirguna. Time is not made of the gunas. Time is free from the guna. That's why time does not undergo any modifications. Time is always time. We make divisions in time ourselves for our convenience to deal in the world, but it does not mean that time itself is undergoing some modifications or change. It is changeless and it is also beginningless. There was never a time when time did not exist. That's a very big riddle for the science, because they say that world began, universe or creation began at zero time. After that the time started, the T and this arrow underneath. So what was before that? We cannot say. Then all their equations will fail, right? Because all their equations of unified field theory have time in it, and if you go before it, it doesn't work. So there was no such thing that there was no time. There was always time. So these two things apply to time also. Nirguna, free from guna, and beginningless. So then he says, Prakritahe paray, it is beyond time, beyond the Prakriti. That is okay for time also. Then he says, Pratyak Dhama. Pratyak Dhama means that it is how to translate. Pratyak means inner and Dhama means light, effulgence. Dhama has many different meanings. Dhama also means place. That there is inner light in it, or there is inner feeling in it. Like you feel yourself that I exist, right? That is called Pratyak Dhama. This feeling is not coming from outside. When we see objects from outside, then that is not Pratyak Dhama, that is Parag. So this feeling that I exist, this is not somebody has put it inside me from outside. This feeling of I am, I exist, I have life, this is within me. So this feeling is not there in time. Time does not have this feeling that I exist. So therefore, Purusha cannot be time. And then he says, Swayam Jyotir, that it is self-luminous. Which means that Purusha does not depend on anything else for its existence. Our body depends on soul for its existence. If soul leaves the body, then it will collapse. It will stop functioning. It will undergo deterioration. But soul is not dependent on the body. So soul can exist without the body and function. Soul can also know itself without the body. Body has consciousness because of the presence of the soul in it. If soul leaves the body, then what happens to body? It becomes unconscious. That's what we call as death. Somebody is dead means soul has left, or somebody becomes unconscious means soul is not spreading its consciousness into the body. Maybe because of injury or some drug effect or whatever. But soul's consciousness is not coming from anywhere else. So therefore it is called Swayam Jyoti. It literally means self-luminous. Like if you want to see this book, you need light. So book is not self-luminous. But if you want to see the bulb, then you don't need another light to see the bulb. Because bulb itself is giving light. So like that soul is considered as. And Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. And this universe is existing because of the soul, or it is soul which is pervading into the universe, and with also means going into it. So this is the definition of Purusha. This one sloka actually gives the difference between science and philosophy. In science they have everything else, but not this sloka. They don't know what is Purusha. They have no definition of Purusha. They can define other things, but Purusha they don't know. So this makes the distinction between science and religion, science and philosophy. Then this verse can also be translated in relationship with Paramatma, and this is how our commentator translates it. He says that Paramatma, he is Anadi. Paramatma means Supreme Being. He is beginningless. There was never a time that he did not exist. Because the word Purusha is used for both, for individual souls and for the Supreme Soul. Both are Purusha. One of course is the Mahapurusha, the great or the Supreme Person, and we are the small beings. Then he is Nirguna, he is free from the three gunas. He is beyond Prakriti, beyond matter. He is transcendental. He is Pratyak Dhama. He is the one who is inside everything. He is immanent. Supreme Soul exists in everything. That's why he is called Paramatma. So he is into everything. And Swayam Jyoti, he is self-effulgent. And Vishwam Yena Samanvitam, and he is the one who is keeping the universe together. When the universe was created, it did not function unless God entered into it. It's like a car. You manufacture the car, but unless you put the ignition key, it will not start. Right? So in the same way, the universe was created, and when God entered into it, then only it started functioning. Before that it was not functioning. It was sitting like a dull matter. So like a robot, when electric current comes into the robot, then it starts moving. Because it is not self-effulgent, it does not have its own power, potency. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comments on this verse. Tatra Purusham Lakshayati. Sri Kapila is giving the definition of Purusha. Anadir Nitya. He translates the word Anadi means eternal, which means that although literally Anadi means without any beginning, but he translates Nitya, which means also no end. Not only that Purusha, both the soul as well as the super soul have no beginning, but also no end. There is no death. It is neither created nor destroyed. Eternal. And Atma, Paramatma eva Purusha. He translates the word Atma as Paramatma. He says Paramatma is the Purusha. Nirguna, Prakrit Guna Rahita, free from the material guna. Yataha Prakriti Para, because it is beyond Prakriti. Pratyak Sarvendriya Agamyam Dhama Karnanavo Yasya Sa. So he says that Pratyak Dhama means, Dhama also means abode or residence. He says that the house or residence of the Supreme Person is beyond our sense perception. As I said earlier, that our senses, they are seeing only externally and not internally, inwardly. So they cannot see where the Supreme Soul is living. So he is living in the Karnada ocean, the causal ocean, and that is his abode. So that is the Pratyak Dhama. Atayeva Swayam Jyoti Swayam Prakasa. And he is self-effulgent. And Swayam Jyotishtva Hetu Vishwam Yena Samamritam Sat Prakasata. He is self-effulgent because it is he who brings life to the universe. Earlier, if you remember, we have already read in the dialogue between Maitreya and Vidura that when Lord created the universe and different parts came out, it did not function unless he has entered it into it. Just as in our body also, it does not function unless the soul is in it. So this is about the soul. He is not going to speak more than this. Most of this chapter is now going to talk about the Prakriti or the matter, because that's what we are experiencing all the time. And we have to know the distinction between that and the living entity. So he starts defining. First he is going to talk about the combination, which is a riddle, how these two things can come together. So he says, Saesha Prakritim Sukshmam Devim Gunmayim Vibhugu Yadrichaiva Bhagavatam Abhyapadyate Leelaya. He says that this Prakriti, which is the name for primordial matter from which the universe came into existence, this was very sukshma, very subtle. The most subtle form of matter is called Prakriti. And at that original state, there are only three gunas in it and nothing else is manifest. Everything else remains in the unmanifest state. So three gunas of Prakriti remain in the balanced state, there is no creation. Then what happened that Yadrichaiva Upagatam Abhyapadyata Lila. Then by will of the Lord, the Prakriti came near the Lord and he accepted out of his play so that he could create the universe. Otherwise it's not that universe just got created by itself. How is it possible? Nothing happens unless some conscious being does some activity. Whenever something is created, something is manufactured, produced, there is some conscious being behind it. So it's not that the universe just happened by itself and then there was evolution and Darwin figured out how it evolved. So this is not a complete picture. It's not completely wrong. There is some truth in it. But this is not giving the complete picture of. It's not the complete story of the universe or complete story of the time. As this Hawkins who wrote this book, Story of Time, Stephen Hawking. So complete story is that it is Lord who accepted this Prakriti, and it is by His will that Prakriti came near Him. If He does not desire, then Prakriti will remain. Prakriti is matter. It cannot move. How matter can move by itself? How can there be a Big Bang? Matter is not conscious. Matter is inert. So how it will happen? Something is lying on the table, how it will start moving? Or it can start breaking into parts? It won't happen. So he says that Sayesha Prakritim Sukshmam Devim Gunamam. Sa means this Purusha, the Supreme Lord, he actually accepted Adhyapadyat. Yadrichaya Upagatam, that Prakriti which has come by the will of the Lord. Yadricha means the Lord's will. So first there was a will. If you want to create something, you want to do something, first there is a will, right? You first desire it, then you take an action. Right? Every action is preceded by some thought, some will, desire. And that also means knowledge has to be there. If you don't have knowledge about something, you don't desire it. So that means Lord had knowledge about creation. Then He desired the creation. Then Prakriti came. Then He began the creation. So this is what happened before zero time in the scientific language. All this happened before zero time. Then there was Big Bang. And then Math Tattva came out. Now this glance. He looked at it. So Esha Paramatma Yadrichya Swarataya Eva Swashaktitvad Upagatam Karma Bandha Jagat Sriksha Samayeva Lilya Abhyapadyat Jeev Shakti Rupam Viryam Tasyam Adadhat Akshapatya. So what he did that by his will the material energy which is his own energy, it appeared, and this was the time for creation to begin. Because everything is going in a cycle. Nothing is happening haphazardly. Like the seasons are coming in the cycle. It's not that you have winter and after winter again winter comes. They are coming in cycle. And the day comes and then night, not the day and then again day and again day. There's not happening. So there is creation, annihilation, creation, annihilation. This is going on. And when there is period of dissolution and that period comes to an end, that is the time Lord glances at it. Abhyapadyata means He put His energy into it or He glanced at it. So that is the time He impregnates matter. It's like man impregnates woman, puts the seed. So woman is also called Prakriti and man is called Purusha. So Purusha is putting the seed, which is the soul. Soul is put inside the womb, then the body starts developing. So at the time of annihilation, all the souls from previous creation, they were existing inside the body of his Paramatma, super soul. All the soul go inside his body and they are there, and their karma is also there, because from the previous cycle the karma was not finished, so that karma is with them. Now this karma, the time has come, karma is like a seed, now the time has come that it has to fructify. So Lord, he glances at the Prakriti, and by his glance he transfers these souls from his body into the Prakriti. And by the power of the karma of these souls, then Prakriti starts manifesting various types of bodies. So therefore Krishna says, Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhami. He says that this Prakriti, Mahat, this big Prakriti, is the womb, and I impregnate. So impregnating here means putting the souls inside. So this is what he did. In the Upanishad it is described that he glances, sakshat, he glanced. So just his look is enough for him to have. And when the souls are put inside the Prakriti, just like a woman becomes pregnant, and the body starts developing. And then it grows, and there is a birth. So similarly then the universe starts growing, because by the power. Why the soul is growing? Because that particular soul has got a particular karma, and it is because of that particular karma that that particular body is being developed in that particular mother's womb. So this karma is playing its role. So our karma is not destroyed even when the universe is destroyed. It remains. So karma has to give its result. And if the universe comes to an end, then whatever karma you are not able to utilize in that particular cycle of creation, that remains in the seed form, in the causal form, and it is with you. And in the next creation, same also happen in our life. In this lifetime, we are doing many activities, and also result of our past karma is coming to us, and we are creating new karma. So whatever karma we are creating now, it is all getting stored in the bank account, karma account. And then when we will die, then whatever is remaining, we go with that account. So that is the only thing which goes with us when we die. Not this account. This bank account, credit card, these things will remain here. But your karma account will go with you. And then on the basis of that karma account, you get another birth. Then you again live another life. So it goes on in the cycles like this. So that is being described here. And then he is going to describe how when the souls are injected into the Prakriti, how a particular soul becomes bewildered by the Prakriti, by the matter, and becomes conditioned by it. And that will read tomorrow. Yes, Kamalaji.
So, about the karma, I want to ask.
Yes.
Because karma is like, seems like an energy, and when you do something, then this energy creates some kind of, I mean, it doesn't get lost, it continues somehow.
Energy never gets lost.
It's always contained somewhere.
Energy is neither created nor destroyed.
So then he comes back after.
Yes.
Amazing, every action we do. Even the thoughts,
Thoughts?
yeah.
What do you mean thoughts?
I mean, before an action, it always comes a thought.
Yeah.
So then,
That's how you take action.
yeah. So then also thoughts are like manifestation of karma.
Yeah, thoughts are also manifestation of karma.
Mm.
Yes. Bhagavatam.
After listening to this, to me it sounds like the greatest story that's ever been told. And unless one embraces the absolute truths about soul and body, our experience, one can feel while we take changing bodies, very isolated, very alienated, very depressed, very lost, because they don't know who they are or why they're here or the meaning of life and the knowledge that we need to know. And to have this knowledge is to then have what we're all looking for, which is a loving connection with God.
Yes. Yeah, because we are all lonely and we are all looking to unite. And we can, really speaking, unite only with God, because our real relationship is with God. And although God is everywhere and there is no question of going away from Him, but it's all by consciousness. That's what I'm saying, that although this example of knot is given, but it's not something gross. It's lack of awareness about our own self and about the Supreme Self. That is the meaning of ignorance, that is the meaning of delusion. So that has to be removed, and that can only be removed by coming in contact with Paramatma, which means being aware of Him. It's a question of being aware, being conscious. So it's actually at the level of consciousness. And therefore we are all looking for relations here, which is also a type of consciousness. When you relate with somebody, you relate with consciousness, not that you are tying with somebody with a rope or something. If you have a relation with somebody, it's in your mind. And by seeing externally, I cannot say that you are a friend of this person, your wife, husband, or this person or not. You say, oh, this person is my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. So this is in your consciousness. This is what we are looking, some relations. Because we are lonely.
Yes. We feel isolated.
Loneliness is a big problem. That's why we have internet. So that you can sit down and chat with somebody to get rid of your loneliness. Or Facebook. Yes.
Time is not Purusha, and
No.
time is not property. How does time relate to these things? How does it
It's an
arise?
energy of Purusha. Purusha has many energies. Purusha is not devoid of energy. So it's one of his energy.
Also, when God looked upon property and impregnated the souls with karma, the karma existed in the soul of God. Where did that karma arise from?
Soul of God? No, these souls were already there. These souls were there, like now we have so many souls living in this world. And suppose the world, it is a time for world to be annihilated. So what will happen? All the bodies will be destroyed, but soul will not be destroyed. So soul will remain, and along with it will be the karma which is remaining. Because some karma you have finished in this life, and there is some which you have added, and also which is coming from past life which you are not using in this life. So all that accumulated karma remains with you, and you go into God's body. And then you will be injected into Prakriti when the next creation will start. So you will come with your karma from the previous cycle.
So karma is also beginningless.
Karma is also beginningless. So just like you sleep at night. So when you sleep, you forget everything. Then when you wake up, you get all your previous days. This much money I have in bank, I have to do this. This is your karma. So you wake up with your karma. So karma is beginningless, matter is beginningless, soul is also beginningless, God is also beginningless, time is also beginningless. Actually everything is beginningless. So there is no beginning.
So one could look at people who are mentally disturbed as those people who are in some way in touch with the fact that things aren't as they ought to be here, and those people who are enveloped by with illusion, and they think that this is the heaven or the peace that one can have on earth, you can have it right here. They're more disturbed than the ones who are feeling emotionally and mentally agitated because they feel that there is something missing that they have not yet have some awareness of or knowledge of. Yes?
Actually everybody is mentally disturbed in this world. Only thing is that some are more disturbed than others. Otherwise everybody is mentally disturbed. Nobody is at peace because you cannot be unless you are situated in your own self. Tadadrashtu swarupa avasthanam. When you are situated in your own self, then only you will be in peace. Otherwise there is different levels of disturbance, different levels of insanity. Everybody is insane.
What is the reason why this knot was created, or
It was not created. This
no,
is
not
the
created, but
It is
how?
beginningless. This is
Difficult
beginningless.
to understand.
There is nothing to understand. It has no beginning.
Then
When you
it
say
also
how,
will not end.
no, it
also
will end.
not end.
That is the whole thing. It has no beginning, but it will end, and that's what Lord Kapila is saying, that how you can end it. Hridaya Granthi Bhedanam, how you can cut this knot. That's what he is giving the solution. So it has no beginning, but it can have an end. That is the story of this knot. All other knots have beginning and therefore they end also quickly. You tie a knot with somebody in this material world, comes to an end.
Is the knot being cut, or is it really that you are realizing that the knot does not actually exist?
You realize that knot actually does not exist. That is just an allegorical way of explaining what we talk about. Okay? Hare Krishna. So I don't know if this worked or not, because I was getting disconnected.
You know, it creates a lot of noise in the recording.